Our next talk is by the great Suman. Suman is going to teach us about WebAssembly. Clearly, none of you know WebAssembly, and so you're going to get some WebAssembly. And there's also some React, right?
Yes, a bit of it.
A bit of React. Hey, give your biggest after break round of applause to Suman! Jesus.
Thanks a lot, Tejas, and I welcome you all. This is my first time that I'm attending React India, and I'm really very excited. And hope you guys would also be excited looking at a topic which is a bit off the beat. So I just wanted to do a quick show of hands, but Tejas already did that. So I know that we just have one person who knows about WebAssembly, but it's good. After this talk, I guess almost all of you would know about WebAssembly. So I'll just quickly introduce myself. I am Suman Ghosh, and I'm currently working as a front-end engineer at Cred. I work in the payments and the rewards team at Cred. Now, before starting, so this complete talk is going to be about WebAssembly, and a part of it, how can we associate it with our day-to-day work, JavaScript, React, right? So before starting, a quick question, or let me tell, what if I told you that now you can write code in your favorite language and it will work on web, and it need not be JavaScript? So earlier, everything that if we want to interact with the DOM, if we want to run something over the DOM, correct, any calculations, anything we want to execute on web, we were using JavaScript, correct? But as I told you, what if you can do it in C#, in C, in Rust, in C++? Daunting, is it, right? For people who are working using JavaScript. So WASM, this WebAssembly, also known as WASM, helps you doing that. It is a way to run programming languages other than JavaScript on web page. So in past, as I told you, when you executed code on web, you changed DOM response in response to some event, or run a calculation, you were using JavaScript, correct? With WASM, it is now possible that you do all these things in a language besides JavaScript. You can use C, C++, and Rust. So coming back to what is WebAssembly. WebAssembly is a low-level assembly-like language that runs with near-native performances. Now, see, I say low-level assembly-like language. It's not assembly language, it's assembly-like language. To understand, I'll quickly just describe you what assembly language is. So obviously, our computers don't understand the high-level language that we write, correct? So for that, they require assembly language, which is a low-level language that helps our computers to understand our high-level code that we have. Now, to explain this at a high level, how your high-level language is converted into this machine-level language, and how the microprocessors understand them, I'll just quickly give an overview for you to understand that ultimately what WebAssembly is. So I hope everyone can see this. Generally, in any of the code structures, you would write this code, right? It's a high-level code, the first image that you can see. And then it is converted to a machine code, right? So firstly, you have the high-level language code that is written and which gets compiled and further converted into machine code. Now what next? So once this is done, the third layer that you can see is basically the abstraction layer. This is your virtual microprocessor, which has its own assembly language. And how does it help? It helps the code to run on multiple physical microprocessors. A very important thing to understand here, what is the virtual microprocessor? The third image that you can see. What is this third virtual microprocessor doing? It is just an abstraction layer which has its own machine assembly language, and it helps the code to run on multiple physical microprocessors. So now, again, coming back to WebAssembly, so it's same. What I told you about virtual microprocessors, WebAssembly is the same idea for the browser. So any high-level language like C, C++, or C# in that matter, all these code can be compiled to WebAssembly bytecode, and we can create a file that can be run on all the browsers, and all browsers can actually use it. Now comes the point that I was talking about, that we are talking a lot about WebAssembly. All of us here are front-end engineers. I'm supposing we deal with JavaScript, React almost all the time. So how is it related? Why WebAssembly when we already have JavaScript, correct? And is it even a correct comparison that we are doing? Yes. When we actually came up with WebAssembly, I would say it is an apple-to-apple comparison that we'll be doing. That maybe why JavaScript, why WebAssembly, that is on you. What I would say is that both of these things go hand in hand. How? We will see. So before that, let's understand the evolution of JavaScript. How JavaScript started, and what was the performance and impact JavaScript had. So initially, if you guys have been using JavaScript since a long time, JavaScript wasn't built to be fast. It wasn't built to be compact, right? In today's world, it's quite fast, but then again, there are still a lot of limitations. Earlier, when JavaScript was introduced, it wasn't considerably quite fast. Then something got introduced which changed the whole picture, how we saw performance in terms of JavaScript. And that was the introduction to JIT compilers. I hope you guys know about JIT. How many of you know about JIT compilers? I see almost everyone, right? So JIT compilers brought an evolution in how we saw performance in terms of JavaScript. Now, still again, the question is that we do have some limitations with JavaScript, correct? What are these limitations? So JavaScript is obviously not that good if we have a few tasks which are CPU intensive. They have evolved over the time, but then tasks that are GPU or maybe memory intensive. So JavaScript might not help us a lot in that case with respect to the performance, obviously. Then again, JavaScript is text-based. It's not binary-based. And when I say text-based, what is the ultimate thing that I want to conclude here? It's being compact, as I told you. That JavaScript is not compact. And how is it affecting? Obviously, with more code, the bundle size increases, which obviously increases the performance. Yeah, there are solutions, obviously. We have a lot of performance optimization solutions. But from a perspective where I see very CPU-intensive tasks, again, it might not be that compact, right? So JS is text-based, and it is not binary-based. So more download bytes, and hence more startup time. The third thing is that it has performance issues if I consider 3D games, music applications, image video editing, or virtual and augmented reality. Now the question comes, you might be thinking, how does this affect me? How does this affect me? Okay, tell me, I just gave you 3 examples that it has performance issues with maybe 3D games, music applications, image, video editing. Almost all of us are using one of these apps in our daily lives. I hope everyone uses music applications. Yes or no? Almost everyone. A lot of you might be gaming enthusiasts, or gaming, a lot of people might be into gaming, right? So that is the problem. All these things are very CPU, GPU, I would say, and memory intensive, and how can we bring better performance in our web platforms? Now, that is the question. So here, the whole point is to understand when I say that WebAssembly is faster, why I am saying that WebAssembly is faster and JavaScript maybe not, right? So for that, let's understand the JavaScript execution pipeline, how JavaScript is actually working in the backend. What is making it slower? And maybe from the perspective of WebAssembly, what is making it faster, right? So we'll do a quick comparison of how the execution pipeline looks for both of the considerations that we are doing, JavaScript and WebAssembly. So talking about JavaScript execution pipeline, you can see the steps that we generally go through that when we execute the code, what happens in the background. So when we have some JavaScript source which contains the JavaScript functions, what we need to do first? The compiler first parses it and converts all the strings into the tokens and generates an abstract syntax tree. I hope everyone knows about the AST, right? All of this thing happens in our V8 engine. I'm as of now taking an example of V8 engine. So this code is parsed, again, as I told you, and the strings are converted into tokens, and it generates an AST. Now, once this representation is generated, in V8 specifically, I would say, it goes straight inside the machine code. So you basically walk through the tree, generate machine code, and there you have your compile functions. On the optimization part, so in your V8, you have a turbofan, which is an optimization compiler. It monitors if something is running slow, whether there is a bottleneck in some of the tasks due to which it is running slow. It finds out them, it optimizes them. So these are the hotspots, I would say, in order to find that which all tasks that are making our system slow, we need to identify them, right? It identifies them, it pushes them through an optimized JIT that creates much faster code for those functions which are chewing up most of your CPU. Now, the thing is that, okay, JIT is helping us in optimizing our code, but then the problem here is that to identify that which task is taking up this much time, it also consumes CPU, right? That also consumes CPU. Now considering your WebAssembly execution pipeline, can you just see the difference? We don't have any parsing stage. We just have the decode stage. We have compilation and optimization. We don't have the re-optimization stage here. And finally, we execute the code. So what's the difference here? So in case of WASM, it has already gone through optimization during the compilation phase. Okay? It has already gone through the optimization during the compilation phase. So even parsing is not needed. I'll talk more about it, why parsing is not needed, why do we have decoding here, and I would say that decoding is much faster in comparison to parsing. So you have an optimized binary that can directly hook into the backend, which can generate your machine code finally. So all the optimizations, ultimately, if I just give you a conclusion, all the optimizations have been done by the compiler at the front end itself, which reduces this whole pipeline, the steps that are there in the pipeline. Now, you'd ask me again the question, WebAssembly, is it a replacement for JavaScript? Obviously not. It's not the replacement for JavaScript. It is designed to work with JavaScript and help developers in making the web apps more efficient. But yes, obviously without JavaScript, you cannot have WebAssembly. Why? The thing is that WebAssembly still cannot access the DOM APIs. For accessing the DOM APIs, you would still require JavaScript, right? So still the dependency is there on WebAssembly. Now I'll just quickly show you an example how things work. I'll come up to the demo also, that what type of code are you writing in C++ and how is it getting compiled. So just to show you an overview, here you have the C, C++ or the Rust files, and that happens inside your React code only. So whatever CPU intensive task, heavy task that you are having, all that code is written inside the C++ or whatever language you want to choose. You can add it. As of now, C, C++, C Sharp, and Rust is the support that we are having. For Python and other languages, we still don't have the support for WebAssembly. WebAssembly supports them as of now. So we write the C, C++ code, and the compiler converts them to WASM byte code. Now, when this WASM file is generated, with that, a glue code, as I told you, again guys, to focus here, is that WebAssembly still cannot access the DOM APIs, right? So it requires a JavaScript glue code to access the DOM API. So that is why you can see that when the C, C++, or Rust code that is being compiled, it generates two files. You have the JavaScript glue code and you have the WASM file. And then you have to import the WASM file in your React code or maybe the JavaScript code, and that is how you can use the C++ code. So just moving to the next part of it, how to use WASM. I hope till now it is clear in understanding what WebAssembly is. How are we associating it with JavaScript? Is it a replacement or not? How can we use it with JavaScript comes into the picture now. So how to use WASM? So we write the code, as I told you, we write the main code, the CPU intensive code in CPP Rust. We compile it to WASM. We import in JS as a WASM module, and we instantiate the WASM. Now, all of this might look a lot of jargon and what is actually happening in the backend. So no worries, we'll take an example. In this example, what we'll be doing, the task is to compute a very small example I have taken just to differentiate how things would work with WebAssembly and without WebAssembly, right? So the task is to compute the 40th Fibonacci number, correct? Now, the setup that I've done is that we are going to have two versions. The first one, which uses JavaScript directly, and the another version, which uses C and WebAssembly or WASM. Moving to the first one, the JavaScript code. Can you see it is just a plain component, a plain React component, wherein you have a button. I've just passed in the value that once you just pass in 40 as the value for the Fibonacci, just press the button, you'll be able to see the result, what the result is, and it would also show you the time in which the value was actually calculated. So very plain, I hope everyone is able to understand this. We have Fibonacci.js, which is the code that we have written to calculate the Fibonacci. And on button click, we are just setting the value and getting the time in which we have got the, received the answer. Now, to the version 2, wherein we'll be using C and WebAssembly. For that, the first thing, remember for the steps, the ultimate thing is that what we were saying in the whole WebAssembly talk I was talking about, that you can write code besides using JS, which you can use on your web, correct? That is what I was saying. So let's come to that. Firstly, let's assume that you have created a React app. In that, you can just create a CPP file, a normal C# or whatever file, whatever you are choosing to be. You can create that file. Here, I've just named that file to be Fibonacci.cpp. And inside this, you would see in Fibonacci in N, which is just a simple C code, right? A very plain C code. But can you see a difference? This is not just a plain C. You have something extra. Can you see that extern C? Can you see that? It's a bit different. And what is it for? I see some answers that, correct. So, you cannot write plain CPP here. You would need something which can be compiled into a WASM code, which WASM understands, right? So for that, we add extern C. And to compile this code into WebAssembly, we need to compile this code, right? Remember when I told you the steps? I told you first you need to write the code in CPP, then comes the compilation, correct? So in terms of compilation, how do we compile it? For compiling the CPP code to WASM, you require mscripten, okay? You have to install it. There is a whole process which you need to do to download, install mscripten in your laptops. Without mscripten, this won't work at all. This won't work at all. So you need to first do it. Once this is done using emcc hyphen version, you can just check that is mscripten installed in your laptops or not. Once that is done, you can move forward, and inside your React app, you can just implement this code, this command, which says emcc fibonacci.cpp. Now, what does this whole thing does? This command, it generates two files. One is your WASM file, one is your JS file. And again, coming to the previous slides, remember I told you something about JavaScript glue code. So this JavaScript file, which is generated on the compilation, this is the glue, the JavaScript glue code, using which the WASM is going to interact through the browser, right? So it's going to generate two files, fibonacci.wasm, which contains all the assembly code, and then corresponding to it, the JavaScript glue code, which is your fibonacci.js. Now, we have to change the code. So earlier, I showed you how the React code was written, a very plain example. Now the question comes, okay, I have written the C++ code. I have compiled it. I have two files. I have WASM. I have JavaScript, the JavaScript glue code file. Now, how do I club this up with my React app, correct? So for clubbing it up, you have to use something called WebAssembly.instantiate streaming, which is going to get your Fibonacci.wasm, which actually contains all the code, all the logic, and it is going to just do the calculation and get the answers for you. Okay, so that is one thing. So just have a look at the use effect, and inside it, WebAssembly.instantiate streaming. We'll talk more about it. Yeah, so just focus on this part. We have instantiate streaming to load the WASM module, and we have one more thing, calculate WASM fib, inside which, so what does instantiate streaming does? It fetches, firstly, it fetches the Fibonacci WASM file. What does it return? It returns a promise. That is why you would see that we have a then and catch block to resolve it. Once it provides us an instance, inside the calculate WASM fib, in the results, we are exporting this underscore Fibonacci. So where is this underscore Fibonacci coming from? Just coming back to the slides again, can you see this function exported functions, underscore Fibonacci? This is the function that I'm talking about when I'm saying WASM instance.exports underscore Fibonacci. We pass in the input here, and from this instance, it's going to return us the final solution that we are going to get, right? And then we are setting up the result. So just looking at the code a bit, let's take a look at the code. So we have WebAssembly.instantiate streaming. What it is doing, it is going to load and compile the Fibonacci WASM, as I told you, directly from a fetch request streaming as it downloads. Secondly, what is this streaming? So streaming compilation makes it faster by allowing compilation to begin before the entire file has downloaded. I'll talk a bit more about it. Inside the instantiate streaming, you might have seen that we had passed in fetch. What was that fetch doing? So I told you, right, once the WASM module is compiled and it has been instantiated, the result is the object. So inside the fetch returns you the promise, right? Once you resolve it, you receive an object. Now you have that object. What does that object contains? It contains the instance. So the compiled WebAssembly module, which contains the exported functions from the original C++ code. Here again, just coming back to what I was telling you, from this fetch, from this instantiate streaming, you receive the instance. Can you see I have set the instance, set wasm instance result dot instance. I received this instance and I'm exporting the final, whatever the calculations, whatever the functions were, I'm just adding the input inside the Fibonacci function. So that is what the instant does. So just to set a benchmark, if you'll just try it yourself also, and see, I have already printed the solution. You guys can also try it. If you'll just print the solution, you'll see that the JavaScript Fibonacci, it would give you the result in maybe around 2 to 3 seconds, but the WASM Fibonacci, it would give you the solution in 300 to 500 milliseconds. Now the question is it always fast? Is WebAssembly always fast? So guys, there are a lot of caveats that we might not be discussing, but the thing is that WebAssembly might not be faster always. And the thing is that we cannot use it always. The purpose of using WebAssembly is just for the CPU intensive and the memory intensive tasks. So don't try to overcomplicate things by using, maybe just to make your app faster, you want to use WebAssembly everywhere, because it won't help. So now coming again to the question, understanding that why are we saying that WebAssembly is faster. Now we'll talk more about it. Why we were saying that JavaScript is not faster, and we were saying that WebAssembly runs faster. Remember the chart that I was showing you, the whole execution pipeline? So in case of JavaScript, you had parsing, you had compilation plus optimization, you had re-optimization, and then finally you were able to execute the code, correct? In case of WebAssembly, I told you, you can decode, then optimize and compile, and finally you can execute, correct? So what makes WebAssembly run faster? So firstly, it can take less time to download WebAssembly than JavaScript because it is more compact. Again, repeating the term, which I said, I guess, 20 minutes back, that JavaScript wasn't supposed to be compact. WebAssembly is compact, and why am I saying that? So it was designed specifically to be compact, and it can also be translated into a binary form. And remember, I told you JavaScript is text-based. It is not in a binary format. So even though JavaScript can be pretty small, so now you will be asking that if I have the same size for JavaScript file and a same size for the WASM, which would be faster? WASM would be faster. Why? Because it is compact and it has binary code, correct? So even though JavaScript is pretty small, if you have equivalent code in WebAssembly, it is likely that it will be smaller. WebAssembly would be smaller. And parsing takes less time than JavaScript too. JavaScript needs to be parsed from the source into an AST and then converted usually into an intermediate engine called bytecode. Remember, we were parsing in JavaScript. But in case of WebAssembly, you already have bytecode. You already have that bytecode. You need not generate or parse that, what we were doing in case of JavaScript. Now, it just needs to be decoded in case of binary version. So in case of WebAssembly, we're already having this bytecode, right? So you need not parse anything. You just need to decode it. And decoding is much faster than parsing. So compiling takes less time because a lot of it has been done ahead of time. I told you, right, that optimization is done ahead of time in case of WebAssembly, and that is one of the reasons that WebAssembly is faster. Now, I told you that the compilation is already done, optimization is already done in the compilation phase, plus the compiler doesn't have to compile these multiple baseline stubs that it was doing before for the dynamic types in case of JavaScript, and you don't get into the optimization and the de-optimization cycles that you had to do in case of JIT in JavaScript. So running your code is fast, because many of the optimizations that JIT makes to JavaScript aren't necessary in case of WebAssembly. Plus, the WebAssembly itself provides you a lot of instructions to make itself faster. So yeah, those are all the reasons why we are calling WebAssembly faster than JavaScript. Now coming to the picture, when to use WebAssembly. I gave some idea about when to use WebAssembly. Let's talk about it a bit more. So firstly, in case of gaming, because gaming requires high performance, faster reactivity. So in that case, using WebAssembly could be a possible solution for video and audio processing, for graphics rendering, for scientific simulations, for your machine learning models, and also when you want to eliminate the need of native apps and various compilation targets as single WASM compilation. So I'll talk about it, how companies have actually used them, used all these use cases, and they have used WebAssembly to solve the problems that we were facing in case of JavaScript. So having a look, who all are using WebAssembly? Figma. I hope everyone has used Figma here. Figma uses WebGL and a lot of 3D stuff to create like the flows that you want to create on Figma. So they used WebAssembly and it improved the loading time of their design applications over 3x. Again, why? Because rendering those designs that you are creating in Figma takes a lot of memory, a lot of CPU, and GPU as well, which can be solved using WebAssembly, right? Then you have eBay. And again, guys, just letting you know, they are not using WebAssembly for all the use cases. These use cases are very specific in which they are using WebAssembly, right? For eBay also, that is the case. Just for barcode scanning feature, they are using the WebAssembly. And with the WebAssembly, they are using web workers too, to offload the main thread with the intensive tasks that are there, and using the WebAssembly just to execute the code, that the ultimate logic that is present. Snapchat. Snapchat, again, it uses WebAssembly to optimize the image and the video filters. And Prime Videos. Prime Videos uses WebAssembly for a very different use case. So generally, what Prime Video does, it delivers content to millions of customers on more than 8,000 devices. When they wanted to update every one of those devices required a separate native release, because obviously they have Android, they have iOS, they have TVs, and a lot of devices apart from that also. So for supporting the updates over the different native releases, that posed the main problem. That was the problem for updatability and performance. To solve it, they used WASM to allow code written in high-level language to run efficiently on all the devices to help resolve that trade-off. And yes, that's all from me. And in this talk, I hope I was able to give you an insight of what WebAssembly is. I took this topic, I guess, mostly 2 years back when I was just curious that this word has web in it. Is it actually very related to web, and how is it actually helping me to optimize things? So I took it 2 years back just as out of curiosity to see what it exactly is. And here I am, I thought that why to have everything around React? Why not consider a topic that is a bit of React, but yes, it uses React somehow, right? So that's all from me. This is where you can connect. And also, in case you have any doubts, I'll be happy to answer them. Post the talk. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.